So we're going to do a brake bleed for the MT200 Shimano disc brake. Most of the Shimano brakes have the same sort of bleed process, so I'll go through the tools needed. So we're going to need a disc brake separating tool we have on the left, some pliers to get the disc brake pads out, so a set of Allen keys. We're also going to need a brake bleed block, some hydraulic brake fluid, mineral oil, Shimano bleed cap, the Shimano bleed syringe, some sort of brake bleed cleaning fluid, whether that's a branded one or some isopropyl alcohol that we have in the clear bottle. So first thing we do is we take out the front wheel. If we're going to do the front brake, put that to one side so we don't get any oil on the rotor. Take out the disc brake pads, use the plier to undo the split pin if it has a split pin. Sometimes you'll find a pin which has an Allen key insert or even just a flathead screwdriver. So take that out, put that to one side, take the pads out and put them well clear of any of the fluids that you're going to be using today because you don't want the pads to get contaminated. Use your brake pad separating tool to put apart the pistons, so press them gently back in, being careful not to damage them, all the way back in so that we can get the brake bleed block into the caliper. So here you can see we can't actually get the brake bleed block in immediately because the caliper is too far situated to one side of the mounts. So what we're going to have to do is take the Allen key, just undo it and push the caliper all the way into the fork, and that way you'll be able to get the bleed block in. So you'll find that sometimes the bleed block can be a little bit slippery or not want to stay in, so on this one I use a rubber band just to keep it in place, and I wrap that around the back of the caliper. So the next step, take your Allen key, undo the bleed port, and then just nip it back up so that you can undo it easily when you get to that point. Take out the seal that you'll find just over the bleed port, put that to one side, because you need to put that back later. Now we need to fill up the syringe, so get your syringe, fill it up with about a quarter way full of the fluid, depending on what size syringe you've got. Wipe off the excess. And then you just want to get all of the air out of the syringe. All the bubbles to go to the top, and then just push it all the way until the fluid just reaches the top. Now we want to undo the bleed port on the lever. Or sorry, first adjust the lever so that you have the lever level or parallel with the ground. Now you want to do the bleed port. And put that safely to one side. So now we're going to take our brake bleed cup and we're going to screw that into the top of the bleed port, very gently, making sure not to thread the plastic threads. We're going to leave the little stick plunger in there for now, whilst we put the syringe into the caliper. So you just want to plug the syringe very carefully into the bleed port, making sure not to drip any oil all over the caliper, because you don't want to get the oil into the pistons or anything where you could potentially contaminate the brake pads or the rotor. So just press that in there, making sure that the seal has gone over the bleed port, so it should be able to just stick in there and not fall out. And then you want to undo your bleed port a quarter turn using your Allen key. Now you want to take out your plunger and you can start the bleed process. You just want to hold the tube in very gently to make sure that it's not going to fall out, and then very gently push on the syringe. And then you can come up to the brake bleed here to see if any bubbles are coming out. So the whole idea of the process of bleeding is to get all the air out of the system whilst introducing the new brake fluid. So once you've fully bled the system and all the fluid has gone in, you want to do the bleed port up again, and then you get to your bleed cup, and if you gently pull on the lever you can see if any more bubbles are coming out, right? Any more air is coming out. So you want to get all the air coming out, and you can see with my right hand I'm just flicking the lever, playing with the cable to try and get all those bubbles up to the top to get rid of them. So do your plunger back up so you don't spill it everywhere, and then get a shop rag, undo your bleed cup, being careful not to drip any brake fluid anywhere. Put that to one side. Now you just need to do your bleed port up again on the lever. Then you want to give your lever a good clean with some isopropyl alcohol or some of the brake cleaner that we have. Do exactly the same with the caliper, making sure you get all of the oil off, just so you don't get anything on the disc brake rotor or the pads. Take the bleed block out, give it a good wipe down. Now just get your brake pads and we'll put them back into the caliper now that we've given it a good clean. Put your pin back in, that's the wrong way round. And then you just want to bend that off again with the pliers so that it won't come out. Get your brake bleed pad adjuster, and then just make sure they're fully pushed back into the pistons, because this will help with the brake alignment when you put your wheel back in. So that's that, and then just put your lever back into place. Grab your wheel, put that back in. Oh yeah, so first you want to make sure that your rotor is clean. I know this rotor is clean, but if it's not, then you just grab your spray, give that a wipe down with the shop cloth, and then you should be good to go. So put the wheel back in, do that up. And what you'll find is the brake pads will probably be rubbing straight away on the pads. So what we need to do is just undo the brake caliper and then look down the end of the caliper, and then you'll see the gap between the brake pads and the rotor, and make sure there's a nice gap there, and then do the rotor back up. Give the wheel a good spin and then pump your brake until you have full pressure back in the lever. And then that should be it. If there's still some disc pad rubbing, then just do the same process again. Adjust your adjust the caliper until there's a gap between each brake pad and the rotor, and that should be it. So a few things to say. I just used any old mineral oil in this video. Shimano will recommend in their tech docs online that you use their mineral oil, which is red, but really I don't think it matters that much if you use another brand. So the brake cleaner I used was the Muck Off disc brake cleaner, fairly standard stuff. Or alternatively, the cheaper option is to just use some isopropyl alcohol, which is absolutely fine. One thing I didn't do in the video is put the bleed port seal back on the caliper, so don't forget to do that. And another thing to mention is obviously this fluid, this is almost a brand new brake, so no need to so there's no need to keep introducing more fluid to the system, because the stuff that's already in there is fine. It's not contaminated. It doesn't need replacing. With that, if it is dirty, just keep on doing the bleed process, replacing the syringe with fresh fluid. Keep doing it until the fluid comes out completely clean. And also, if the brake is still feeling spongy after the initial bleed, keep doing the process over and over again, and eventually you'll probably find that a big bubble of air will pop out somewhere that was right in the middle of the hose somewhere. So just keep on introducing the new fluid to the system, and that should do the trick. Thanks for watching. Any more questions, please get in touch with me via the website, and if you'd like me to make any more videos or any more tutorials, then just let me know.